All right, so today we are going to be freshening up a motor. This is a 6.0 out of a truck, and we are going to be freshening it up. All right, we're going to be adding some more horsepower. We're going to be adding some more performance. We're probably going to take away from miles per gallon, but we're going to be adding lots more miles per miles. So that's the most important thing. So we've got a cam to put in. We got rockers. We got new lifters. We got new springs. We've got lots of new goodies. We got a new cam from Texas Speed. We got torque converters with higher stalls. We got new transmission. We got all kinds of goodies to help this motor, actually help that car over there get down the road with this motor. So stick around, let's get at it. All right, so what exactly do we want to get out of this motor? I don't know. I'm gonna be the first one to tell you, I'm not like a full-blown engine builder, okay? I have to go in there, I gotta look at specs, I've gotta go in the forums, I've gotta find lots of stuff. Now the older small blocks, big blocks, I'm pretty well versed in those, which nevertheless is pretty much the same thing. However, I'm not really spun up on what heads go with what blocks, what cams, all the fine details. So I gotta do research. Some of my research comes right across the street, okay? Previous videos I've told you I've got a neighbor, he likes to run these things real fast down drag strips. So I lean on him a lot as far as what packages go with what, meaning what heads with what blocks, with what cams, with what torque converters, all the goodies, okay? So as I learn this, I'm gonna kind of give you guys a little bit of knowledge as well. So let's just see if we can get this thing together. That's the bottom line. So what we have is a 6.0. Okay, this is out of a 2012 truck. However, it is a 2018 6.0. It does not have the active fuel management or the DOD on this stuff. So we're good there, okay? However, if you look here, we've got some rectangle ports. Okay, I do know a little bit about heads, okay? The cathedral ports, the rectangle ports, the rectangle is what everybody's looking for in lots of motors. So we've got them. However, we're taking them out. We already had the cams for the cathedral setup. We had already got the intake set up for that. We had everything pretty much primed and ready to go for cathedral ports. So we're putting the cathedral ports in. However, we're gonna go with the higher end cathedral ports, which are the 243s, which we have right here. So we're gonna freshen those up. We're gonna pull these off. We're gonna freshen up some things on the inside, and hopefully it's gonna go fast. So this is not gonna be a drag car. This is not gonna be something we're running down the strip. However, we might be running down some back roads, lots of them. Car shows, when people are on the side of the road yelling, burnout, do the burnouts. Yeah, we're gonna do burnouts, okay? Not a whole bunch, maybe a lot. We're not sure yet, but we want the power to be there, so we're gonna build it like that. We do still want some miles per gallon, which, okay, but we're not looking for crazy economical savings. Let's quit babbling, let's get these heads off, let's get those heads built and get those heads back on, and then we'll start playing with the cam and all the other goodies. So there's the plan. Now we just have to execute it. Maybe, yeah, we should be fine. All right, let's get the head all stripped down, take it apart, ready to go, and I'll leave it down. Okay, let's not forget, okay, throughout this entire video, I'm not a professional engine builder, okay? My processes, my procedures, yeah, they may not be traditional, and that's okay, because I'm not a traditional kind of guy, okay? So remember that throughout this entire video. So if you see something you don't like, that's cool. Put it in the comments so my algorithm goes up, or so we can start kind of having conversations about it, or I can find a better way. But just understand that it may not be what you guys think, okay? So I gotta get the springs off of here first. Gotta get these little keepers out of here, which I'll show you kind of what keepers and all that kind of stuff if you're not familiar with motors. So what I do, I get a socket that's just as big as the keeper retainer ring thing, the keeper hat, whatever you want to call this. We put it down on top of it, and we give her a nice good old schwacking. There you go. The keepers come out. So these keepers are like tapered, okay? Let's see if I can get them both together. See the taper in it? It's a conical, so they're tapered down. They have to sit down inside of here. They sit on there's a groove inside the valve. Let me go ahead and pull the valve out. Yeah. There is a groove in the valve stem and that's where those keepers sit up inside there and keep that spring compressed. So let's go ahead, get the rest of these off of there.
We're gonna do a quick inventory, make sure we didn't lose nothing. Wait a minute, 2 and 2, boom. We got 16 half keepers, which are 8 total keepers. Oh, you need that one over here too. All right, they're off. All right, we're gonna be replacing the valve seals as well. Let's keep them all in order. Valve seals as well, and we're gonna be cleaning the block up. Dude, if you get down this far, why not just clean the whole block up? Make it all nice and shiny, you know, because nobody's gonna see it, but it's just good maintenance, preventative maintenance, I guess. I don't know how a clean block on the outside is preventative maintenance. However, on the inside, we got all this just nastiness. So we're gonna clean all that kind of stuff out of there. We're gonna scrub it as best we can, kind of get all the debris out of there, and there you go. We're gonna be popping these seals off too. These are the valve seals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're all right there. Basically, I'm just gonna, in my non-traditional way, we're just gonna take some pliers, pull up. Now, we're gonna set up my cleaning booth. Now, the best way, I'm telling you, this way is actually the right way, is we put this into some sort of steam bath, put it in a parts cleaner. I've actually got 2 parts cleaners over there. However, I'm not gonna sit there and wait for it. These aren't that bad. I'm gonna clean them up very well with, like I said, with a wire brush and some brake parts cleaner. Then we're gonna go back and lube everything up and kind of start getting it right, so. All right, head is all nice and clean to where it's good enough for what we're doing. All right, next thing I like to do, especially we're blown down this far, I am going to basically put some valve grinding compound on these valves. If you look here, the valves, you really can't see any type of profile on there. The profile is there, it's just got so much, I don't know, carbon, nasty stuff, all the goodies on this. So we're gonna get that taken off. And this is what I do, okay? I've got one of these suction cup thingies. It's supposed to go on top of the valve and it's supposed to suction cup and turn it. They're garbage. If somebody knows the best way to kind of get these things to stay stuck on there, I would love to know your answer. However, I use this and my hand at the same time, kind of, you know, together. It's not the best. So we're gonna take some grinding compound. I usually only put 3 or 4 little dabbles on it. Just kind of, if there's any left. Oh, there it is. Oh, there. Just some small little dabbles. 1, 2 there, 3 there. You know, like that. And we're gonna put it back in its little home. Boop. Now that grinding compound has some, like, I don't know, some magic inside of it. It's little baby diamonds or, you know, rocks. I don't know. But all I know is you're supposed to put this suction cup thing on here, like that, and twist, okay? Now, I go until I hear the noise kind of make this uniform kind of scraping, scratching noise. I don't know if there is a specific time or amount you're supposed to turn these, but I'll show you. I'll show you when I stop, or what it's supposed to look like, at least for my rebuilds, what it's supposed to look like. So I stop once I kind of can start seeing my profile come back. You notice there's that ring around it going right there where we freshly ground it down. Now, there is still some particles on there, so I'm gonna get that to where it's nice and smooth, and as well as the head, you can see kind of the profile coming through right there as well. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna finish. Now, don't forget, I'm not a professional engine builder, okay? However, my recommendation is use the valve that's going into its seat to do the grinding. So basically don't use the same intake and exhaust valve to do all 4 sets. Nope, don't do that. Use the one that, so this one's gonna stay in there now, and then we're gonna move to the exhaust valve and keep going. Yep, that's my professional tip from a non-professional. Okay, it is all cleaned up. Heads are all cleaned up. We've got every valve, kind of got a good profile on all the valves and the valve seats. And now we're going to put it all back together. We've got some of this here. I don't know, Disassembly high performance lube. All right, I'm just gonna throw a bunch of that stuff here in my fingers, and we're just gonna run her down and send them all through. All right, got the valves all nice and seated in there. They seem to be moving exactly like I would like them to move. And now we're gonna go ahead and put some new valve springs in there. We're gonna use the same keepers. We're gonna have the retainers. We're gonna use the old retainers, which those are still fine. What else? Oh, we gotta put some valve seals in there. Valve seals will go in, get them in there like that, which they just look like little top hats pretty much. Like that, and then they're just gonna go right there on the stems, all the way here to look like that. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I'm not even gonna really seat them all the way down because, well, once we put some spring pressure on there, they're gonna seat in there nice, nice, nice. All right. Keep the bag for the old one in case, you know, somebody wants to make it a, you know, trophy or something out of those. I don't know. And then I've got a valve spring compressor. We're gonna put that bad boy under there, compress the spring, put the keepers in, unspring it, boom, 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 do that 8 times. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, we're done. Okay, if you're curious how this valve spring compressor works, let me get you in there. I'll give you a little quicksy rundown. So we're gonna make sure our beehive is facing up, right? That kind of looks like a beehive, at least I think so, and that's what they call them. So we're gonna make that facing up. We're gonna put the retainer on, and then we've gotta get these keepers. Don't forget the keepers are that conical, right? So we want the tip of the cone to point down, down, down. If you have it point up, it ain't gonna work. Just trust me on that one. It is not going to work. So we're gonna take this spring compressor, we're gonna put it over top of the retainer. The bottom portion is kind of holding my valve, it is holding the valve. Do even pressure down, lock it in. Cone down, cone down. It's kind of past the recess on those valve stems. Done. Look at that. She's in. Huh? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Like I said, we'll do this, 7 more times now? They do have different versions of this. This is the one I like to use because as you can see, it's pretty quick. So let's get at the other ones and then we'll start moving on to pulling those old heads off, putting these heads on. All right, let's move to pulling these old heads off. We're gonna start getting the crank pulley off as well because we had to swap out the timing cover and we gotta get behind there for the cam. So what are we gonna do first? We're going to rockers. Pull the rockers off. I think you might be able to get behind the heads or behind the rockers, get the head bolts, but I'm just gonna pull them off anyways. It's simple. I've got an 8 sitting right here, so let's pull all the, I said simple. It's not simple. Okay, plan B. Then we're gonna put it on this whole big Ugga Dugga, and that Ugga Dugga had better. Oh, comes right off now. Ooh. All right, so to get the cam out, we're gonna pull the crank pulley here. Got them. Okay, a couple things we gotta look for if you're doing a cam swap like this on the 6.0s and some 5.3s that kind of have variances to these motors, okay? You have what's called active fuel management. If you guys own an LS out there, or you have played with LSs that have that active fuel management, and it's also DOD, displacement on demand, you know that is the greatest technology ever produced for the LS. Nope, they're garbage, it's junk, get it off your truck. That's what we're doing here. So, before you cam swap anything, you gotta kind of know what you have, and well, to identify if you have that active fuel management in DOD, you look here in the valley pan. Basically, this cover here would look like it's got a bunch of channels into it, almost like it's a, if you've ever seen the inside of a valve body for a transmission, it'll look kind of like that on top. This being a smooth one the way it is, it doesn't have the DOD system on it, so we're good to go there. Now, this camshaft, however, once again, not all 6.0s are the same. Right here in the front, this cover here is the VVT, the variable valve timing. Okay, so we need to get rid of that. This camshaft we have now doesn't have all the goodies on it like that, so basically we need to get a new cover that doesn't have that sensor there. Basically it'll be plugged there. We'll still be running the camshaft sensor here on it. The cover is sitting over here, so basically it'll look like this. We'll also have to be replacing the camshaft gear because they're not geared the same either. So there's all kinds of goodies before you start buying a bunch of parts. Know what 6.0 you have. So let's go ahead and get behind the timing cover. Let's get the lifter retainers off. And then just start putting stuff back together. Well, I don't know how far we're gonna get putting this together this week because I'm waiting for parts. I am missing the cam gear. So hopefully, I should probably check on that. Anyways, let's start tearing some stuff apart. All right, now is a very good time too to check your lifters here. Make sure all the rollers are good on it. Now, I'm putting them back in the same spot they kind of came out of. Not necessarily have to do that because we're gonna be running a new cam anyways. If you're gonna keep your old cam, I would recommend putting them back in the same location. I'm gonna put them back in the same location regardless, but we're gonna go ahead and inspect all the rollers on these lifters here. Make sure there's no wear on any of them, and then we're just gonna put them back where they came from. Like how everything on this motor is like a 10 or a 15. There's one nut here, that is the VVT cam. We're gonna be switching it to the standard 3-bolt cam. If you look, there's a bunch of holes in there. Basically, these are like slave bodies. This plunger here, that is adjusting the pressure porting in for your timing. Just left that in there. Let's leave that in there. I need to go ahead and set it to top dead center before we go any further. So I'm gonna put that back in, set it to top dead, and then get my marks lined up, then we'll pull that gear off. All right, feel a lot better now that we got it at top dead center. We know that by number 1 piston is top, dead, and center. Now, we want this on compression stroke. Typically, you can find that with the heads on it, going through the spark plug hole, see which one blows your finger off. However, we don't have heads on this, so we need to come verify right there. There's the little triangle. Cam gear needs to be at 6 o'clock, crank needs to be at 12 o'clock. Once those are lined up, pistons up here, we know we are at number 1, top dead center. So now we can go ahead and get the cam gear off. I'm gonna do it without pulling the oil pump, without pulling the crank gear. Just gotta make sure the chain kind of stays in a good spot without falling down into the pan, and well, we should be okay from there. So now we have the cam plate here. There's 4 Torx T40, I believe, hold on. Yep, verified T40. We'll get these off of here, and then we should be able to pull that cam out, put the new cam in, you know, wait on the parts for the cam gear, the new cam gear, put the rest of the stuff together, still wait on parts, and then we should be able to get it, you know, paint this and put it back together. So, all right, as you can see, I ever so gently got the old camshaft out. I may have given a little tippity toppity droppity on the first pull out, but we're good to go. Not enough to damage any bearings. So now with this one, we don't want to drop this one 100%. Get rid of that cam gear. We're gonna get this thing all looby-doobied up. We've got to get it completely covered in grease. We'll get it slid in there nice and gentle, and then we should be able to start putting lifters back in, put the new push rods. We're just gonna keep carrying on, okay, with carrying on. So let's go and get this one out and goobed up. We are still waiting for the cam gear, like as mentioned earlier, so let's go ahead and get the rest of the stuff together. We'll get the head gaskets on, the heads on, go ahead and get the lifter and push rod retainers back in, all the goodies. Now, we are gonna torque this, okay? We're not just gonna go willy-nilly and slapping this stuff together. So 22 foot-pounds first, then we're gonna rotate that another 90 degrees, do it for all the bolts, and then we're gonna do another 70 degrees, which I've got a degree wheel thing you put on your breaker bar, and you'll basically hit me to 90 degrees, 70 degrees, and we'll kind of go from there from end to end. So if you are curious where we're gonna start, we're gonna be starting here, basically working the middle, working our way out, X patterns, square patterns, all kinds of goodies. So we're gonna start here with number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're just gonna throw you off. We're gonna slide across 7, 8, 9, and we're gonna finish out here on 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then these 8mm bolts up here, they're just gonna stay torqued to 22 foot-pounds. Once everything's torqued down, good to go, we're gonna go back, check torque on the little 8mm again, make sure they're staying at 22 foot-pounds. Then we'll just keep pressing on. Oh yeah, and real quick, if don't put your head gaskets on backwards either, okay? It says front right there, so make sure you're putting it towards the front. If for some reason you ain't paying attention, you can cross these up, and what's gonna happen is these ports here in the back are gonna be blocked. If you see there, you don't wanna block that back port. If you block the back port, you ain't getting no cooling back up to the front. So make sure that little window there is in the bottom right for the driver's side. Front is towards the front, and you know, press on. For those that are curious, how are you gonna get that 90 degree, 70 degree after your second round? I've got this degree wheel that goes on the back side of your socket and on the front side of the breaker bar. So basically this stop, I've got all the slack out of it. So take the slack out of your breaker bar. I've got my stop here up against the head. That's gonna allow the bottom to not move. I'm gonna allow to zero this out. And then we're gonna basically take and rotate until we hit 90 degrees, kind of let it back off a little bit, make sure there's no spring back, and there you go. 90 degrees, we've got the first one already done, the second one done now. We're gonna bounce around to the other 8, and then after that, we'll make our second pass at 70 degrees doing the same concept. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the cam gear and getting everything buttoned up behind the timing gear. But before I do that, I went back and I was editing the video when we were torquing the heads. And well, I need to reiterate, I didn't say it in the video earlier, do not reuse the stock head bolts. Those are torque to yield bolts, meaning once they're torqued, you can't use them again. Don't use them again. Not allowed to use them again. In that video, I was using new bolts for that. However, we decided to opt for the ARP studs. They're a lot easier to torque. You don't have to use a degree wheel. You go basically 25, 50, and 80 foot-pounds in the same pattern we did earlier. They're better, okay? They've been proven, and well, this isn't gonna be doing a bunch of horsepower. Why not go ahead and upgrade the internals to it? I just wanted to throw a little blurb in there. Do not reuse your head bolts. Don't use them, okay? There's a good chance they're gonna snap if you do. All right, cam gear. Here is the new one. This is from Michigan Motorsports, by the way, and here's the old one. Okay, there's nothing you gotta take off this old one to transfer over to the new one. The exciter wheel for the sensor is right here on the old one. It is now part of the new one, okay? Ta-da, new one has everything you need on it. Now, you can't really get these backwards, but you can, okay? You can start putting it together, get your chain all in there, you start getting all your dots lined up and realize you have it backwards. There is a dot on here, okay? There's a dot right there. Make sure the dot is facing out. Obviously, that is our indicator point to line up with our crank, so we need that out. What I'm gonna do right now, it's set, I think the dot's set at like 3 o'clock position. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt this in, turn the crank, or turn the cam gear to where my dots are there, and then I'm gonna pull it back off, put the chain on, and hopefully it doesn't move at all. And we slide it all back together and everything just goes in one good hi-ya, okay? I don't know. It always turns on me. Every time it'll turn on me or I'm one tooth off and it's aggravating. So let's give it a whirl. Pins lined up, get the studs started, which we're also using ARP studs for these as well. You don't gotta go all the way in on these, just kind of get them in there, right? We just need something pretty much bite onto and make sure all of our holes are aligned because they can be turning. Now, I also do not have my rockers on, okay? So this thing's gonna free spin pretty simply, okay? So, I don't know if you wanna pull your rockers off. These we had to get new rockers for these anyways, so I left them off until this step was done. We're gonna get that to 6 o'clock. Double check. It is perfectly aligned with, there, it is exactly lined up. If you look down in there, you'll see a little dot on the crank, and that is lined up. Ooh, we could probably turn it. Actually, the video makes it look like it's not lined up, but it is lined up, okay? Just trust me. Here's the fun part, trying not to get this to move at all. All right, there you go. We even, we even torqued those just for good measures. Nope, because the book tells me to, 25 foot-pounds, there you go. All right, let's go ahead, get the cover, the gasket cover and the crank back on, which we're also gonna be not reusing. We have a new crank bolt as well. Don't reuse your old crank bolt because it is torque to yield as well. So let's go and get all that together. All right, timing chain cover is all on good and tight. Hopefully we don't have any leaks. I put a lot of gobby-goo on there, so we'll find out once we put some oil in it. All right, next we're gonna move on to torquing down our rocker arms. Okay, I like to do a couple prep steps before we get to torquing these, okay? First thing is we gotta get it back to top dead center. We already know it's at top dead center for number 1, because I have not touched that crank at all. I haven't rotated it, haven't done nothing. And well, we're at top dead center number 1. So first step I like to do is, if you have your crank pulley on it, you can kind of just make a mark. Make a mark on it, maybe 12 o'clock position or whatever. However, I don't have my crank pulley on there, so what I like to do is go off the keyway. You look right down inside there on the crank, you'll see there's a little keyway right there at the top, about 130-ish position. Okay, that's telling me, or I'm just gonna use that as an indicator. We know, once again, we are at number 1, top dead center. And I just go ahead and I'm gonna put 2 little hash marks where that keyway lines up for number 1. That way, when we have to rotate 360 to do the opposite ends, we basically know we'll get our keyway back in those little hash marks and we should be good to go. All right, next thing I like to do, and last thing, it probably seems a little bit redundant, but I'm a visual guy. I just wanna kinda set everything up and then kinda go bang, bang, bang and knock this thing out as quick as I can. So what I wanna do now is I go ahead and I mark out which ones need torquing when it's at number 1 top dead center. So it's gonna be obviously number 1 on intake and exhaust, 3 intake, 5 intake, 7 exhaust, 2 exhaust, 4 intake, and 8 exhaust. So now all I gotta do is set my torque wrench at 22 foot-pounds, okay, 22 to 24-ish. I put mine at 22, and then we're gonna go through, hit all the red dots, torque those down. Then what we'll do is we'll rotate 360 degrees out, do the 6. That'll put me at number 6 top dead center. Then we'll do the ones that are not painted red. to 22 foot-pounds. That's it, we're done after that. All right, 22 foot-pounds, that is a check. And we'll just go through, make sure they're centered up on the valve. I gave her, you know, the old 3-click. That way I know we're good to go. See, there you go. I know it seems redundant, but look, quick visual, hit all the red dots, move on to the next, hit all the red dots. Now we're gonna go ahead. Where's my rotating device? Right here. We're gonna rotate where, I need a bolt in there. Go ahead and rotate this 360 degrees. Check my mark. Now we're gonna go back and we're gonna do all the non-painted dots. Make sure we get our rocker nice and centered on there again. Give her the old 3-banger, center it up. There you go. Rocker arms, torqued and ready to go. Now I think we're ready for, what are we? I think we can start painting this thing. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get this thing painted. Man, oh man, look at that Chevy orange right there. I went ahead and threw this thing in the frame. We are actually on a time crunch. We are leaving in about an hour or so for Oklahoma, heading down there for the Starbird show. And well, there you go. Started putting the motor together, getting all the Phytech stuff on there, getting all the coils on there, the headers, all the goodies to get this thing back under that chassis. So there you go. We swapped out a cam, put in stiffer springs, cleaned up the valves, put in new valve seals, put in new gaskets, swapped out the heads. I don't know. There was a lot of stuff we were doing kind of in this for the internals of the motor. Anyways, thanks a lot, guys, for sticking around. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, share it out. Hit that little share paper airplane thing, send it out to your buddies, and well, we'll see you next time.